بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد Hadith number 443 الذهبي رحمه الله says وعن زيد بن أرقم مرفوعة من لم يأخذ من شاربه فليس منا صححه الترمذي وغيره وعن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال خالف المجوس وفر اللحى وعفو الشوارب متفق عليه. Hadith number 443, the author says, narrated Zayd ibn Arqam radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man lam ya'khudh min sharibihi falaysa minna." He says, the man who doesn't trim his mustache is not from us. The man who doesn't trim his mustache has nothing to do with us. He says this hadith has been authenticated by Imam Tirmidhi and others as well. So this hadith, the well-known narration, Zayd ibn Arqam, states that the Prophet ﷺ says clear, simple words. Man lam ya'khudh. If you don't trim your mustache, falaysa minna. He says you're not from us. He's not from us. This hadith shows us something which is very scary. Extremely scary. And that is how so many Muslim men have went against the basic teachings of the Prophet ﷺ. And not only went against it, in their practice, in their behavior, in their habits, but there are many people who begin to have a derogatory, negative look towards those who do take the basic teachings of the Prophet ﷺ and speak ill of and stereotype and look at with disgust and prejudice, or those who are actually doing nothing more than what the Prophet ﷺ told them to do. They're doing nothing more than what the Messenger of Allah ﷺ instructed them to do. They're doing nothing more except taking the words of the Prophet ﷺ as they are to be taken, as Allah clearly said in the Quran. What He gives you, take it. What He tells you to avoid, you stay away from. Whether it's the faith, the war spoils, or whether it's the actual things that help your heart and your soul. Everybody understand this? Those who say that the ayah means وَمَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ, whatever the messenger gives you is not pertaining to the deen. It's only pertaining to what? The battle between the Muslims and the Jews, the fighting, those who broke their covenant, and the spoils of war, Surah Al-Hashr. For argument's sake, if that was the case, if Allah says take the worldly possessions that He gives you, that He dispersed to the Sahaba, then what about the spiritual teachings? Doesn't common sense teach you that that's even more deserving to be taken? If the Quran says whatever sword, whatever right-hand possessions, whatever gold and silver, whatever land the messenger gives you after a battle or before the battle, take it. And whatever he forbids you from, then avoid it. Wattaqullah, avoid fear Allah. Because Allah is what? Shadidul iqab, severe in punishment. So if that's with regards to worldly possessions, then what would be the case with regards to the Prophet's words and instructions concerning what? So that doesn't even make sense. Those people who try to negate that as a proof. That's just clear, pure stupidity. And this is what some people who call themselves doctors and scholars talk like this, saying there's no proof that you have to follow the Prophet in the Quran. Or one may say, okay, no problem. If this verse was only pertaining to the Sahaba and taking the spoils of war, then why is it still in the Quran? What's the purpose of it being recited until the end of time in which Allah takes the Quran from the people and the hour is established? What's the purpose of it? It is of no benefit, no lesson, no tangible practice. Why is it in the Quran? And then that shows you that those who reject hadith in actuality are a few steps away from atheism. They're a few steps away from kufr akbar, if not kufr akbar. Those who reject all hadith as a whole, sunnah as a whole, is kufr akbar. Everybody understand this? And they're almost there into rejecting Allah. Because why did Allah say these things if it is of no benefit? If it's a means of the Muslims being backwards and the Muslims being stuck in time and then. It's dangerous. So therefore, many people who just don't practice the correct understanding or practice themselves, but then they speak down against men who do the basic practices. You're a terrorist, you're a fundamentalist, you're an extremist, you're a Wahhabi, you're trying to be an Arab. Islam is not just in a beard, brother. Islam is not just in having a short mustache, brother. Islam is just not in you having a short pants, brother. Islam is deeper than that, which it is. And no one said that that's the only part of Islam. Islam, not Islam. No one ever said that. Everybody understand this with knowledge. Maybe a fool said that. Someone who's ignorant. Someone who reverted to Islam without having the proper ilm and fiqh. A fanatical blind follower. That may be his attitude and his disposition. He ignores the other practices of Islam and just because he has a beard and a thobe. But no person of knowledge and proper understanding is ever going to say that. There's no brother in his right state of mind that has a beard and doesn't take care of his family. Right or wrong, Abu Sa'id? No brother in his right state of mind that has the proper teachings. Everybody understand this? So it's one thing you not doing it, but it's another thing in which you look at people that are ugly and dirty because they have beards. Not kuffar on the airplane, but Muslims. Not white Europeans or black Christians, African Christians, or Chinese Buddhists and people. No. People from Syria and Egypt and Palestine. Everybody understand this? From Pakistan. You get on the plane with your beard. Who let this guy on the plane? How many bombs does he have on him? He's a terrorist. That's the attitude that you get from many people who say they're Muslims. And it may be the white lady who's a Christian from Utah or Montana. It may be the Korean man, who's an atheist or communist or whatever the case may be. He may be the one to say, hello, how you doing? Sit here. He may be want to have a conversation with you. Let's start talking with you. Only Allah knows how many stories, how many planes we've been on in which we sat down and out in the middle of nowhere, a non-Muslim just starts talking conversation with us. Man, woman, and child. Kufi, thobe, reading Arabic, writing Arabic. They start talking with you. They'll take some of your tea. They'll offer you something. But the Muslim, the one whose face, whose nose, whose eyes you can clearly see is from the Middle East or a Muslim country, they'll be the one that roll their eyes and look at you funny and look at you in a derogatory manner. That's sad. And that's a bitter reality in the world today, wherever you travel. Not all Muslims would have that hummed. Some Muslims become happy when they see the Sunnah. They become happy when they see you trying to represent yourself and identify yourself as a Muslim. But there are many, many Muslims from different parts of the world, whether it's the Middle East, the Far East, the African continent. When they see you trying to do the basic things of Islam, they look down upon you. And they consider you as just being an ignorant, revert Muslim that doesn't know anything but a beard, and that's it. And his face is shaven, Gillette. The closer man can get, they say. It's the closest shave that you can get. And he has the nerve to look at you and to talk about you. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, he who doesn't trim his mustache isn't from us. Wherever you go, it's the exact opposite. Either totally shaven or a big fat mustache and no beard. This the what? Of what the Prophet said. So that's only one level now. The concept of, oh, well, it's not really important. You know, the beard is not important. It's min al-qushur. They say it's from the shell. And it's not the egg and it's not the yolk and the white, It's not the flesh of the orange, it's just the rind, the peelings. It's on the surface of the deen. It's not the core of the deen. It's just a small, trivial issue. It's just makruh. It's disliked. And the Prophet says, فَلَيْسَ minna. He's what? Not from us. That's a serious statement. Equivalent to the statement, مَنْ حَمَلَ عَلَيْنَا السِّلَاحَ فَلَيْسَ minna. He who bears weapons against us is what? Not from us. مَنْ غَشَّنَا فَلَيْسَ minna. He who cheats us is what? Not from us. مَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ سُنَّتِي فَلَيْسَ minni. He who wants other than my sunnah isn't from me. That's a serious threat. If you don't do something, the Prophet said, and says that you have nothing to do with him, he has nothing to do with you. He's free from you, and you're free from him. So how can you say that it's a trivial issue, a small issue? Everybody clear on this? It's a very sad reality. Now, in the history of the beard, the history of the mustache or the mustache, all right, the history of the sideburns is a very long one. I've read and researched much or many things with regards to the beard in all religions and in all continents and all walks of life and all races, and the importance and the significance of the beard and the different things that people used to believe about a man's beard. Everybody understand this, as well as the mustache. You'll be shocked some of the facts that you'll find and what some of the people used to believe and think about a man who does or who doesn't have a what? A beard. Now, we all know what happened to many, if not most of the Muslim countries, the colonial era, the period in which Britain and France, Germany and Italy, Portugal and Spain, okay, the Dutch, the Danes, the people like this, they went around and they colonized the Muslim lands. They took over their lands. They took over their resources. They put in puppet leaders. They made them pay heavy taxation. They influenced them and they gave them all different things from their culture and their civilization. Articles of dress, foods, statements, different technology, different practices, different belief systems. And from the things that they planted in the Muslims' minds and in their hearts is to look like them and to be like them. Everybody understand this? And to hate their Islamic identity, whether it's Arab identity, African identity, Indian identity, whatever the case may be. But you look ugly. You're dirty. You're unhygienic. You're in the past. We have civilization. We have medicine. We have science. We have nautical exploration. We have the advanced militaries. You guys are still shooting bows and arrows. We have cannons. We have boats. Everybody understand this? We have all different types of things. You're primitive. So our religion is better, the cross. Our food is better. Don't eat with your hands. That's barbaric. Only ancient, stuck in the past man will eat with 2 pieces of wood. You have utensils, sterling silver. Everybody understand this? Don't eat and drink the things that you eat and drink. No, it has to be like us. And also your face. A big woolly beard is ugly and disgusting. Shave your face and have a mustache and twirl it on the ends. That is a modern civilized man. Everybody understand this? Be refined. Be soft. Spend an hour in the barbershop, 2 hours, pedicure, manicure, your face. Get all these things done to your body. Everybody understand this? This is a reality that happened and took place to the Muslims. So, walillah, when the different Muslim countries and Arab countries, when they revolted and they sought their independence, walillah, the Europeans, those kuffar, those Christian people, those atheist people, they left. But they left only physically. And oftentimes they left behind their customs and their traditions and their practices and their ideologies. And from that is to shave the face and to grow the mustache. Everybody clear on this? And they've made the standards of what hygiene is. Now, we're not trying to take you too far into the rabbit hole or talk about too much history or you're going to say conspiracy theory or you're this, you're black nationalist. Nah, none of that. Not too much. Right now. But the reality is when you read the books of history, you'll find there were the Muslims, you'll find people in the Far East, even if they weren't Muslims, that knew something called a bath. Everybody understand this? You read about the Victorian era, which is not that long ago, and how most people had 4 pieces of clothes, 4 articles of clothes, 4 garments. 4. That was it. In other words, 1 pair of clothes for the entire winter. 1 pair of clothes for the entire fall, spring, summer. That's it. Nothing else. In other words, there was no such thing as changing clothes. There was no such thing as being clean. There was no such thing as having a bath. At least once a week in the deen, at least. Everybody understands? There was no such thing as ghusl janaba. There was no such thing as istinja. There was no such thing as siwak, toothstick, cleaning the teeth. And if you read the history books, you'll find this. This is no conspiracy. This is real information. And you read about the Crusades and the ups and the downs of the Crusades and the things that those Christian crusaders took back to them to Europe when they were kicked out. And from the things that they benefited from was hygiene. They learned an exalted standard of hygiene from the Muslims with regards to water, with regards to the teeth, with regards to clothes, and the list goes on. So just stop and look now. The one who was dirty and filthy for many, 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 many years now dictates to you what's clean and what's hygienic and what's neat. That's mentally backwards. That's mentally what? Mentally backwards. And this is the case of most Muslim countries today, unfortunately. These people that had powdered wigs, that were covered with lice. Read the books that they write themselves, covered with lice. Lice on their head all day. Everybody understand this? A woman bleeding. A woman having menstruation with the chastity belt on. These things like this. That's how they lived. And the Muslims, wherever they were, Arabs, Africans, or the people even that weren't Muslims in the Far East, they knew something that called water, called cleanliness. You read about the different monks, the Christian monks. It was a virtue for many of these monks not to wash. They considered it a virtue not to let water touch your body. Everybody understand this? And now these are the people who come and tell you that a beard is ugly and nasty and dirty and it's unhygienic, it's unsafe, it's not clean, and the list goes on, you're barbaric. In the pile, another stack or another layer of hypocrisy is that when you go back 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 70 years ago, many of these kuffar themselves, it was fashionable to do what? To wear the beard. And it was considered a means of manliness and chivalry for a man to have a what? A beard. But the trends changed, the times changed, fashion changed, people's minds changed, and now they set the standards. That's why a Muslim is never ever supposed to be a yes man. The Muslim is not supposed to be a tag-along, a follower of his enemies. Up, right, left, jump, how high. This is cool, that's not cool. No. Muslims are supposed to have their own identity, their own fashion, their own style. Everybody understand this? So the case of most countries that you go to today, the average Muslim man is going to have a shaven face. And to make things worse, not only is he going to have a shaven face, but he's going to have a big mustache, or his mustache there and his face is there. And he sees you with a beard, and it's his job to tell you about Islam. It's his job to tell you what's correct and what's incorrect. Very briefly, some years ago, when I first came to New York City, before I came up here to teach and to be the imam some years back, I came from JFK in the airport. And my brother-in-law, he picked me up from the airport. I just came back from Medina, right? Anyone who knows Brother Talut, one of my brother-in-laws, he knows that he has a what? Full beard, mashallah. So he had on a white kufi, white thobe. I'm just fresh off the plane from Medina. Thobe, kufi, everything. So we were looking for somewhere to pray. So our navigation took us to Liberty Avenue, Sheikh. Tayyib. Tayyib. We won't mention the name of the masjid for now, for one reason or another. Al-Muhim. So we went into the masjid, and this is a reality. I'm only telling the story as it happened. Allah knows. I'm not putting no extra spice on it. We walked to the masjid. Obviously, everybody's looking at us like, you know, from what planet did you guys come? What rock did you crawl from under coming in here? No problem. Been in many masjids like that. Based off of, you know, just race. What are you doing in here? Like, you know, you couldn't find anywhere else to pray. This was how they looked at us. Wallahi. No problem. So we went to use the bathroom to make wudu. So I went to the bathroom to make wudu. He was standing outside. When I came outside, he started laughing and chuckling. I said, what happened? He said, they gave us these pamphlets. He's like, Muf, check it out. They gave us these pamphlets. I said, what pamphlets is that? You know the pamphlets that they gave us, Sheikh Khan? They gave us pamphlets on who's Jesus. Who's what? Who's Jesus? And the people who gave us the pamphlets obviously had what? As we say, total butt faces. Talut's beard is huge. I have a white thobe, white kufi, but they gave us pamphlets on saying what? Who Jesus is. Extremely disrespectful. In other words, you stupid, dumb black Muslims don't even know what? You might still be a Christian. Coming in the masjid, making wudu, wearing thobes, with a beard, but we still need to educate you about what? Who Jesus is. Everybody see this? This is sad. And this is, you go to the east and you go to the west. It's the guy that has no beard on his face that has to tell you what to do and explain to you what's correct. No, brother, you don't pray like that. No, in my country, we pray like this. My grandfather. And his face is shaven. Everybody understand this? So that's sad. And that's unfortunate. All right. Now, is the beard everything? No. Is that the only part of the deen? No one what? Said that. But it is a major part of the religion because it represents so much more than the follicles of hair. But it represents identity. It represents manhood. It represents fear. You're being afraid of being recognized as a Muslim. It represents that you want to fit in. You want to look boyish. You want to look like a woman, like a girl. Allah made you to a mature man, but you still want to look what? Boyish. And that relatively symbolizes fear of death. We said relatively. We said what? Relatively. It relatively symbolizes lack of courage and bravery. Is that you want to live forever. Yeah, you don't want to get old. Everybody understand this? That's unfortunate. Let alone the fact that, as Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen said, that from the harms of shaving the beard is not like drinking alcohol, making zina, smoking and gambling, and all of these bad haram things that you can hide and you can be embarrassed and shamed. And only a few people in your inner circle may know that you have an addiction to gambling. But he says when you shave your beard, you go to the world and you show the entire world the disobedience that you've made and committed. And everyone can see it publicly. Or, if you want to go deeper than this, those are Shaykh Uthaymeen's words. I'm adding, is that many people, when they make sins, they may not be proud of those sins. They may be ashamed and embarrassed. There may be somebody who drinks or smokes and he doesn't look at himself when he's doing it. He can't bear to look at himself when he's doing it. But when you're shaving, you're doing what? You're in the mirror, looking at yourself, uglifying yourself, disobeying Allah. That's serious. So it's not a joke, brothers. It's not what? It's not a joke. It's reality. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said to the extent, if you don't trim your mustache and you're what? You're not from us. So this could possibly be what the author is saying from the major sins. Because he says, فَلَيْسَ مِنَّا. He isn't what? From us. It's a reality. It's not a what? It's not a joke. It's not about culture. It's not about madhab. It's not about extremism or terrorism or this one or that one. It's about Muhammad and his words. Do you really believe in Muhammad? Or last but not least, would you like if Muhammad was alive today, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you had to sit in front of him? By Allah, I ask you, would you be pleased with you sitting with him? And let's say the rest of the Sahaba, Abu Bakr and Umar and the Khulafa were there. Would you be happy sitting in his presence with a clean face and all these big, huge brolic beards in front of you, with henna in them and gray? Would you like that? How awkward would you feel? How embarrassed would you feel that the Prophet told you to do something and you what? You know, the exact opposite. You wouldn't want to do that. You wouldn't want to sit what? In front of his face. Everybody clear on this? So this is very harmful. All right? Enough of that. So the hadith teaches us that it's from the Sunnah. It's mandatory, first and foremost. And just because it's mandatory doesn't mean it's not from the Sunnah as well. It's from the Sunnah to trim the beard. Everybody understand this? The mustache. Naam. To trim the what? The mustache and to grow the beard. We understand that from the opposite. If he said, if you don't trim your mustache, then you're not from us, proving that, leave the beard. Because he didn't say that. Everybody, and the beard is obviously much larger than the mustache. He said the mustache, proving not to trim the beard, not to touch the beard, but to what? Trim the mustache. Everybody understand this? As far as the ruling of trimming the mustache, with regards to how much you should take off, the ulama of Islam, they differ. Some of them, they say that the top of the lip or the bottom of the lip is the only thing that has to be revealed, and the hair should not fall above the top of the lip. Everybody understand this? And some of them say trim it there and also take away from the thickness of it. And some of them, they say that it's from the deen to trim it. Trim it a bit more. And some say to shave it off. To shave it off. Everybody clear on this? And some of the ulama, such as Imam Malik and others, they will go to the extent by saying to shave the mustache is a means of mutilation, muthla. And anyone who does it is to be disciplined. But the correct view, as was explained in detail by Shawkani rahimahullah and Nail al-Awtar, is that all three are permissible. To shave it off, to trim it, and to clip it. Shawkani, he concludes after a long discussion, he says there are different narrations. Ahfu. The word ihfa is to get rid of. So no disrespect to Malik or anybody else, but the Sunnah is above what? All. And if the Sunnah mentions it, and if there's an authentic narration, then it's not about Malik or Amal Ahl Madinah or this or that one. Abadan. Everybody understand this? Khair inshaAllah. طيب, moving forward. The next narration that the author mentions, he says, وعن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال خالف المجوس وفروا اللحى وأحفوا الشوارب متفق عليه. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, Khaliful Majus. He said, be opposite from the Zoroastrians, from the Magians or the fire worshippers, the people of shirk who live in the different parts of the world, whether it's Persia or anywhere else. Iran, anyone who worships the fire. He says, Wafiru liha. He says, let the beards be full. Let them be bushy. Let them be wafira. Let them be plentiful, bountiful. Let the beards be much. Let them be big. He says here, وَأَحْفُ الشَّوَارِبْ. And he says, and ahfu, and the word ihfa could mean, and could be translated to mean, shave. Get rid of the mustache. We just explained that. The different styles of the mustache. Trimming it, shaving it, cutting it, etc. The author says, muttafaqun alayh. He says, this hadith is collected by Abu Bukhari and collected by Imam Muslim. Khairan inshaAllah ta'ala. طيب. So this hadith shows us the obligation of three things. The first thing is the obligation of what? Nope. Khaliful Majus. People of shirk. And the Prophet is mentioning a general rule. Whether it's the Zoroastrians of Arabia or anyone who's the people of what? Shirk and kufr. Be different from the what? Kuffar. Mushrikun. Do not be like them. How not to be like them? He mentions two things. One of them is to do what? He says, وَفِّرُوا لِهَا. Listen carefully to what he says. He doesn't even say, because growing it is one thing, like you do it intentionally. He says, wafiru. As it states in other narration, arkhul. Let them drape and hang. In other words, just what? Leave the beard. So I'm growing an afro. But in actuality, you're not growing anything. It grows what? By itself. You just do what?
Leave it on there.
Everybody understand this? You let it take its natural what? Course, form. Tayyib. Everybody clear on this? Last but not least, he says what? Wa'fu shawarib. He says, and take down, remove, trim, cut the what? The mustache. Everybody clear on this? In the hadith is what? And Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. So, one could say that yaqi is not obligatory. It's not wajib. You don't have to do it. Even though that's weak. That's a weak view. But for argument's sake, even if it isn't obligatory, is it not at least recommended? Or just the Prophet commands you to do something that has no meaning whatsoever? He just spoke foolishly, just talked. Do this, do that. But you don't have to do it. You know, I'm only the Prophet and the Messenger of Allah. Do it if you like. As long as you have a good heart and you love Allah and you know the other parts of the deen, you're kind to your wife and children, you pay zakah, that's all that matters. This is the mentality of many people today. So if it's not mandatory upon that terrible view, then the least we can say is what? Recommended. If it's not recommended, one may say, then we understand and benefit that at least it's from the what? The deen. And you cannot say that it's not from the deen. Get rid of it. Don't grow it. It's nasty. It's dirty. It's unlikely. The Prophet was a neat man. The Prophet was a kind man. The Prophet was the most handsome. Your beard is not handsome. It's the view of many people. Or some women. They say, I don't want my husband to have a beard on his face. It's going to scratch my face and scratch my neck. How I want to make love to him with a big beard. Women, they talk like this. Some sisters. Or, you know, I want him to look handsome and, you know, he looks so nice when he has a clean, fresh shave. With the bald head. Tayyib. Any sister that talks like that, she's not a sister that's what? On the right way. Falaysa minna. She's not from us. Everybody clear on this? She's been as brainwashed and mentally defiled as the other people. He may want to grow, but she's pressuring them. I've seen brothers, wallahi. I've seen them. Pressured into shaving their beards because of their what? Their wives. That's sad and that's unfortunate. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. Tayyib. Another concept with regards to the beard is, what is the ruling on trimming the beard? All right. If you say that it's haram to shave it based off of this hadith and others, what can I trim it? Can I groom it and touch it up? Everybody understand this? Or another issue is the qabda. That which is called al-qabda. It's to take the beard and to trim it and cut that which exceeds the what? The fist. Everybody clear on this? Another very important issue is, which is very, very relevant in 2017 among scholars, among students of knowledge, among imams, is the concept of having a very, very, very light beard. And which is nothing like yours, where it actually you have what? Hang time. You can pull on it. Your child can what? Grab it. You can comb it. Everybody understands, but having a really, 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 really low trim beard. 5 o'clock shadow, 2 o'clock shadow, all right, 3 o'clock shadow, tight. Now, this is very important. All right, we have different levels. The first level is to shave it. Clear? The second level is to do the qabda. The what? The third level is to trim it without shaving it, but it's still relatively bushy. And the last level is to trim it all the way down, and which is barely what? On your face, but you're not shaving. Everybody understand this? Now, some of the people of knowledge, they have different views on this issue. First and foremost, shaving it, Ibn Hazm rahimahullah, he narrated, he said that there's ijma, consensus, that it's haram to shave the beard. Consensus. No khilaf among any fuqaha. Abu Hanifa, Shafi'i, Malik, Ahmed, they said it's haram to shave it. As far as the qabda, that's a very long, detailed discussion. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, wafiru. He said, let grow long, leave, make abundant. Everybody understand this? So some people, they say, some of the ulama, they say that the absolute definition or the absolute application of this amr, this command, is to do what? Don't touch it. Let it grow, 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 grow. Everybody understand this? That's the amr, the command. Another ulama, they say, rather, we follow the understanding of not one or two, but many tabi'een and some sahaba, whether when they made hajj or umrah or not, or the general ruling is that they would do what? They would do the qabla, pass the fistful. Everybody clear on this? Especially when they made hajj and umrah. And often, or many people took the understanding besides what? Hajj and umrah. And there are many athar to support this. So some of the ulama, they say that the Sahaba who narrate these hadiths, Ibn Umar, Abu Hurairah, Jabir, this one, that one, they are the same ones who also did what? Qabda. So they say, if they narrated the hadith, which was clear and strong, frank, and they also did the qabda, this proves that they understood that this is what the Prophet meant by that hadith. Let it grow as long as it's not less than a fistful. Everybody clear on this? Now we have the concept of having a bushy beard, or the concept of having a very, very low, shaved, trimmed beard that's a shadow, that's not shaven. Now, many of the fuqaha, one may even say most of them, especially of the people of madhab, the people who blindly follow a madhab and teach and only stick to one madhab, especially the modern day people and those who came later on, many of them have the view, listen to this, that this hadith and other hadiths, it means as long as you have hair on your face. Just have something on your face, you've implemented the Prophet's words. And that's the meaning of the hadith. Now, obviously, someone's going to say, you don't have to be a scholar to say, whoa, slow down. The Prophet says, وَفِّرُ اللِّحَا أَرْخُ اللِّحَا. The Prophet ﷺ says, أَعْفُ اللِّحَا, one narration. Meaning to leave it, don't touch it, let it grow. And then you're telling me what the Prophet really meant was as long as you have some hair on your face. That is not the understanding of an eloquent man. If I say, don't touch me. A woman that you're approaching, she says what? Don't touch me. Get away from me. And then you grab her by the arm. And what is she going to do in the court? She's going to do what? She's going to press what? Charges. He abused me. He left a handprint on my arm. He did this. Your Honor, I only grabbed her arm. I only grabbed her hair. I only touched her in this place. And she said what? Don't touch her. Do not what? I only meant don't touch me in the sensitive areas and parts of my body. I only meant don't touch me too long. Don't fondle and caress me. But she clearly said what? Don't touch me. That's the first thing she said. Then she also said, get away from me. And she also said, don't put your filthy hands on me. 3 different expressions she used. The court, the judge is going to say what, Abu Sa'id? You're guilty for doing what? Violating this woman. She did not want you to do what? Come in her space. You say, no. It only meant don't do this and don't do that. When she clearly said, don't what? Don't touch me. Her words were what? Crystal clear. So how can you say that the Prophet ﷺ uses a word like wafir? Everybody understand this? Wafir, which means abundant, superfluous, is all over the place. Wafir, wafiru. Or the concept of arkhu. See this here, this thing hanging? That's irkha. It's draping like a curtain. It's hanging what? Down. Even down, all the way down to the bottom. Look, see that? That's irkha. This is irkha as-sitab. Hanging curtains, drapes. Everybody understands you have curtains in your house. What do the curtains look like, Abu Sa'id? Are they only cover half the window? And the more luxurious the curtain, the longer the curtain is. And it has the tassels on the end. Talking about luxurious, classic type curtains. And you pull them to the side and is it just enough for the window or is it what? You have to tie up the curtain, right? Or put it on the hook because it's so much what? Curtain. Everybody understand this? Irkha, linguistically. It's not just enough fabric just to fit in the square frame of the window. So linguistically, that doesn't make sense. For the Prophet to use these words and for you to say it only means to have some hair on your face. Rather, that could be even disrespect to the Prophet ﷺ. Because he didn't say, litakunu, for you to be like this, liyakun ala ahdikum, let one of you have shu'ayrat on his face. He could have said that. The Prophet clearly gave us instructions on other things with small, minute details. Give sadaqah. Protect yourself from the fire, even if it's what? Half of a date. Even if it's saying the good words to your brother. Here he says what? Wafir, arkhu, afu. So that doesn't make sense for you to interpret those words and say it means just to have some hair on your face. And if a man has a shadow or he has a little bushy beard, he is implementing the hadith. No, you have not. Is it better than shaving? No doubt. Without a doubt. It's better than shaving? La shak. The bushy beard is better than the shadow beard. But the asl of this hadith and many others is that the beard is to grow what? Organic. Let it grow what? Natural. Everybody understand this? Like a yard, a garden in which there are flowers and plants and weeds. You don't cut the yard for a summer. What happens to it? It goes what? It takes its own what? Natural course. And the gardener is the one who trims and details this and makes that and fixes this. But if you let the plants grow by themselves, it grows what? Everybody clear on this? Except for the what? The mustache. Everybody got this or not? So therefore, to give credit to those brothers, first and foremost, those brothers who are trying to follow something that they feel is correct and respecting those ulama who held that view, la bas. But the sunnah, no. That's not the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And it's impossible, waliyadhu billah, for the words of the Prophet to be totally downsized and graded and sliced down to these minuscule meanings. Once we open up that door, then it's what? Chaos. If 5 daily prayers, just pray once in a day. Just do what? Pray, yani. Wear the hijab. Yani, be modest. You don't actually have to wear a dress. Just be modest. Huh? No? Everybody understand this? Feed your wife. You don't have to feed her every meal, Abu Sa'id. You don't have to pay for all her expenses. Just what? Every now and then. Take care of her. Once you open up this door of this type of weak interpretation, what remains from the deen? What remains from the religion? Now the situation becomes even worse. When the people who do these things and they take these views, when they're doing it because they're afraid and they're scared, which many of us are, to fit in with the kuffar and not to be pointed out by the kuffar and not to get pulled over or harassed or to lose my job. If that's how you feel, whether you say it or not, that's one thing. It's between you and Allah. But do not make that the deen and the sunnah. Everybody understand this? I have my pants beneath my ankles because I'm lazy. I'm not ready to implement that. But I know that the sunnah is to have the pants what? And it can't change the meaning and the interpretation. That's haram and that's evil. And this is done by many people today. Especially when we start talking about the whole East versus West, the Western scholastics, Western scholarship. Everything is useless from the East. Everything has to be American, understood in the light of American culture and custom. So therefore, the isbal is not haram. Have your pants beneath your ankles, tayyib. You don't have to have a full beard, tayyib. Niqab, gloves, not mandatory, tayyib. You don't have to wear a thobe. No, you shouldn't wear a thobe. Listen carefully. Not that you don't have to know, you should not wear a thobe. Fit in with the customs of the people. Where I'm from, people wear tight jeans. Where I'm from, people are gay. Fit in with their customs. Where I come from, people have earrings. Grown men put diamonds in their ears. Can I wear that? Oh, but the hypocrisy of the people, because if a person came from an urban place and he had his pants hanging down, not saying people wear their pants hanging down anymore, back in the 90s, nowadays it's tight. It's the sunnah to be tight, what hanging off your butt? With your underwear showing, but skin tight pants. Tayyib. But back in the day when it was what I was saying, you had to wear baggy pants. Listen to this. I want to ask you a question to waste. If somebody came into the masjid, let's say the masjid was in the suburbs, right? And it was a certain orientation in the masjid. Let's say one of their sons that came into the masjid and he had on a hoodie, baggy pants, the big Bluetooth headphones, bobbing his head, whatever, with some sneakers or some boots. How would they look at him? Welcoming or in an unwelcoming manner? How do you think they would look at him? You're a criminal, or you type of drug dealer, some type of gangster, what type of rapper are you trying to be like? And what would the young boy, what could he possibly say to them? To the sheikh, the leader of the center, the mufti, this guy that's giving the American fatwas. He could tell them what? I'm doing what? It's the custom of my people. Then what? So that's hypocritical, and you're not really willing to implement that. Everybody understand this? Rather, you want slacks and a button-up shirt. That is the what? Custom of America. What about the people who don't dress like that? So that's extremely dangerous. Everybody understand this? Are there levels of Muslims without question? Are there levels of Iman without question? Are there times and places without question? But it is haram, and I repeat, it's haram to change the understandings of the deen and to turn them into something else. That is the dangerous thing that we live under the threat today. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect us all, to bless us all. This is a simple, basic summary. There are many, many, many other ahadith, many, many different discussions. Perhaps we'll stop with a statement here that the editor mentions. He says, ويعجبني ما نقل ابن عابدين في العقود الدرية في تنقيح الفتاوى الحامدية عن العلاء قوله إن الآخذ من اللحية وهي دون القبضة كما يفعل بعض المغاربة ومخنثة الرجال لم يبح أحد وأخذ كلها فعل يهود الهنود ومجوس الأعاجم. الله Akbar. Listen to this statement here. And this, bid'nai ta'ala, is not from me, but this is going to be the back-breaking blow to the whole concept of the American fatwa, the American understanding. Everything has to be Americanized and washed down to suit the American culture. Listen to this statement. The editor, he says, Ibn Abidin, obviously he's talking about the ulama of the past, of the traditional madhabs. The traditional what? Madhabs. Not Ibn Taymiyyah, not Ibn Abdul Wahhab, not Bin Baz, not Albani, not Sheikh Muqbil, not this one, not that one. These are old ulama, years ago, from the well-known madhabs. Anyone know Ibn Abidin's madhab? Ever heard the name Ibn Abidin? I'll leave it. You figure it out. You research it. Ibn Abidin. And just take a guess what madhab he was a follower of. He said, listen here, he says in the book Al-Uqud al-Durriya fi Tanqih al-Fatawa al-Hamidiyya, listen here, volume 1, page 329. Listen to this statement. He narrated from another alim who came before him, Al-Ala'i, who said, the one who takes from his beard, he says, Inna al-akhidha min al-lihya. He said, oh, Inna al-akhidha min al-lihya, wa hidun al-qabdha. The one who trims and takes from his beard, wa hiya dun al-qabdha. Besides the what? The fistful, as we mentioned. Everybody understand this? Listen here. He says, كَمَا يَفْعَلُهُ بَعْضُ الْمَغَارِبَةِ. He says, as some Westerners do. As some what? Westerners do. Whether he was talking about the people in Andalusia, Spain, Portugal, Morocco, Algeria, Mauritania, that was West in it. What are we talking about? In the actual what? Europe, Syria, and actual West, Eastern Europe, let alone today. He says, as some Westerners do. He says, وَمُخَنَّثَةِ الرِّجَالِ. He says, in feminine men. He says, this practice of trimming a beard less or more than the fistful, he said two types of people do it. And what? Soft men. Mukhannitha, waliyadu billah. Men that are feminine. He says here, lam yubih ahadun. He says, none of the ulama made this permissible. He said what? Ahd. No madhab. None of the ulama said it's what? Permissible. He goes on to say, kulluha, he says, wa akhdhu kulliha, he says, as for shaving the entire thing, he says, then this is the act of the Jews of India. He says, Yahudul Hunud. I understand this? For people who say that don't grow your beard today because what? The Zionists grow their beards. The Hasidics grow their beards. So now you have to be the what? Opposite. Shave and let them grow their beards. There were some Jews of some places that what? Shaved. He then says, wa majus al-ajim. He says, in the fire worshippers of the non-Arabs. They were the only ones that were what? Have clean shaven faces. So when did Ibn Abidin die? When did Ala'i die? What country did it come from? What madhab did they follow? We're not going to mention that right now. We're going to save some firepower. The point is, he's saying that none of the ulama said it is what? To do that. So how can you come along and you make such an atrocious, horrible statement like the things that we hear? And it's not just an American thing. Rather in the East as well. And you'll see some ulama, mashayikh, on TV. This mufti, this one, that one. He has a trimmed beard. Barely can see it. He's the imam of a great masjid. He has a beautiful recitation of the Quran. That's what? That's sad. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to guide us all, to bless us all, and to give us fiqh of the deen, understanding of the deen, and firmness upon it. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Thank you for your time and your attention. Assalamu alaikum.